This is Gut Check Time, and I am your host. We're going to be talking about college football Week 15 championship week. It's going to be a great week. It's going to be a sad week as well because this is the last true full week end of college football. We'll have obviously bowl games going forward and college football playoff games, but after that, it's over. So it sucks that it's over. It's the shortest season in all of sport. But hey, let's enjoy this. Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below if you want more content like this in the future. It really helps out the channel. Thank you. First game we're going to be talking about, the video will probably be out while this game is going on. Oregon versus Utah. Number 13 Oregon versus number 5 Utah. Oregon's getting 6.5 points here. It's in Santa Clara, California. There was barely any people last year. Hopefully there's more people this year. It was Washington versus Utah last year. Washington ended up winning the game. I believe the score was either 3-0 or 7-3. I can't remember. All I remember is it was a really, really boring game. I think it's going to be a great football game. I can't wait to watch it. I think Utah, if they blow out Oregon, they're in the college football playoff. If they have to blow them out, though. I think if this is close, it leaves the door open for the winner of Baylor versus Oklahoma, which we'll get to next. But I believe Utah does win this game for the simple fact I really like that defense. I think it's a really good defense led by their defensive coordinator and Morgan Scaley. And I think this team is just overall well-balanced team. You got Tyler Huntley, Zach Moss. Most people don't know about Zach Moss. I watched him the first game this year when they played BYU. Very underrated running back. That guy does not get tackled behind the line, and he never gets tackled by the first man. He's going to be a good NFL player for a long time. He'll probably be a rotational running back. I don't think he's a 3-down back, but maybe he can develop that. And Tyler Huntley will play in the NFL. He's a good quarterback. I think Utah's offense will prevail, and I think Utah's defense will also be able to hold Justin Herbert and their offense in check. I believe Utah wins this game 27-21. The over-under is 45.5, so go over because that's 48 points. And take Oregon plus 6.5. I think this is going to be a really close game, a really good game. I do see a scenario in which Utah blows out Oregon, and that's if Utah's defense really holds off the offense of Oregon in check, and by that I mean turns Justin Herbert over 2 to 3 times, which could happen. I could see that. I don't see a situation in which Oregon blows them out. I just don't. I think Utah's defense is too good. So I don't see that happening. Like I said, Utah 27-21. Take Oregon though plus 6.5, and take the over of 45.5. Next game, Big 12 championship game. In my opinion, the most competitive game we're going to get in the championship weekend, Baylor versus Oklahoma. Baylor's getting 9 points, way too many, but we'll move on from that for right now. This is number 7 versus number 6 is for a college football playoff spot, unless, like I said, Utah blows out Oregon. In that case, I believe they're cemented in that 4th spot if Georgia loses to LSU. For the simple fact, you blew out a ranked team in a championship game. You got to, in my opinion, stay where you are at least if Georgia ends up winning. Or if Georgia loses, you have to move up. To me, I don't think I could bump Baylor or Oklahoma over unless, of course, they blow them out in a similar fashion. Then it's debatable. But if this is a close game and Utah blows out Oregon, I think Utah goes in. Now, if the opposite happens and that's a close game, and if Oklahoma blows out Baylor or Baylor blows out Oklahoma, then that's what I believe would get in. I don't think that's going to happen, though, in either of these games, so it's going to come down to resume. And for that simple fact, I think Oklahoma's going to get the last spot because I think they're going to win this game. I think it's going to be 34-27. Baylor was kind of lucky to not be in that game. They definitely should have been in that game, but to be winning that game by as much as they were, for the simple fact, Jalen Hurts had a lot of fumbles in that game, and a lot of weird fumbles. Like the one he was going in for a touchdown and then just dropped was very weird. I think Baylor covers this. Like I said, 34-27 Oklahoma, so I'm taking Baylor plus 9. I'm taking the under 65. Baylor has a legit top 10 defense, I think, that I've watched the whole year. Lynch, their defensive lineman, is an absolute monster. He was injured for a couple weeks, and he was actually, I believe, leading or second in the country in sacks with Chase Young. So those two guys are just monsters. I believe his name's Blake Lynch. He's an absolute monster. And then he didn't play in the Oklahoma game. And then also, Oklahoma did not have their best offensive weapon in CeeDee Lamb. So now at full strength, this is going to be a really fun game to watch. I think it's going to be back and forth. And Baylor could win this game. I don't think they should be as, like I said, 9 points, way too many points here. I believe in Charlie Brewer. I believe in Denzel Mims. I don't know about the rushing attack. I think they're going to have to establish a rushing attack, even though Oklahoma's weakness is through the air. But if you know they're going to throw the ball 40 times, it's easier to stop. And I don't believe in Charlie Brewer. I think he's an okay quarterback. I don't think he's great. He's good enough to definitely win this game. But I think he's going to need help with the rushing attack, so that needs to be better. But like I said, I'm going to take Oklahoma 34-27 in the rematch. They just played 3 weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks on Saturday, and Baylor blew a 28-3 lead. I don't see them even having that big of a lead in this game. Maybe I see them having a touchdown lead at some point during this game. I would be shocked if this turns into a blowout for either team. I think these are two evenly matched, good football teams. I'm taking Baylor +9. I'm taking the under 65. I'm taking Oklahoma to win the game 34-27. Next up, we're going to have Georgia versus LSU, number 2 versus number 4. Georgia's getting 7.5 points here. I don't think that's enough. I think LSU's going to blow them out. First off, I don't believe in Jake Fromm. I think he's check down Charlie. I just don't think he can push it over the top. And especially Lawrence Cager's not going to play in this game. George Pickens suspended for the first half of this game after the fight versus Georgia Tech. A very selfish play. You knew he was their best outside weapon after Lawrence Cager went down. You can't be doing that type of stuff. He's a very talented player. He's going to play in the NFL eventually, but you can't be doing that. And DeAndre Swift, shoulder injury. He'll play. They'll shoot him up. He'll play. But I think LSU wins this game pretty easily. I think it's 34-20 LSU, and I could see them winning this game 34-13, then Georgia going to score a garbage time touchdown. I don't believe in Georgia's offense. I think their defense is very good. But as we've seen with teams that have played Ohio State, a lot of them have decent defenses and even good defenses. But the problem is their offenses aren't good, so when they run up against someone with the average defense and a bust-off an offense, you can't keep up. And eventually your offense keeps punting, or not sustaining it long enough drives, and your defense gets put out there. If they're put out there too often and the offense gets to see them enough and they start to get tired, they're going to crack them eventually, and that's what I think eventually happens this game. I think this game is close in the halftime, and I think Georgia's defense just gets tired at the end of the game and gets blown off the field. So I'm taking LSU 34-20. I'm taking LSU -7.5, and I'm taking the under 56. Next up, Cincy versus Memphis. This is a rematch of last week in which Memphis won 34-24. That was a really close game, a really good game. I expect kind of the same thing. I expect it to be a little bit closer scoring this time. And what do you know? It was a 10-point game last week, so guess what Vegas set the spread at? 9 in the hook. 9.5 points Cincinnati's getting. Memphis is -9.5. I'm going to take Cincinnati with the points, but I'm going to take Memphis to win the game. I think Memphis has too much speed. I think this is kind of like an old school Big Ten SEC game. If you're mid 2000s, you got Cincinnati, big guys, strong but slow. Then you got Memphis, a lot of skinny guys that are fast, that can run all over the field, do whatever they want. I think speed wins, like it usually does when we see those matchups. That's why we saw the Big Ten start to get more speed later in the 2000s. And now look at Ohio State; they're pretty much built like an middle of the 2000s SEC team. So I'm going to take Memphis to win the game, but I think it's close. Like I said, I think it's 27-23. I'm taking Cincinnati +9.5, and I'm going under a 57.5. Next up, I think this is going to be a worse game than the ACC championship game. I think Ohio State destroys Wisconsin. Number 8, Wisconsin versus number 1, Ohio State. Wisconsin is mightily overrated. Penn State was mightily overrated. I actually think Michigan, people are going to say I'm crazy for this, whatever. I think they're probably the second best team in the Big Ten. I know they lost to Wisconsin and Penn State, both on the road, and both Wisconsin, especially early in the season. I think if you replayed those games, I think on a neutral site, Michigan would win both those games. I think Wisconsin is one-dimensional. I think they're physical, but I think they lack beat speed. And guess what? You played in the perfect weather environment last time, and you got beat by 31 points. You played when it was 40 degrees, raining. Ohio State was slow coming out of the gate. Guess what? You only put up 7 points. You're playing them in Indianapolis on turf with those athletes versus your slow athletes. Ohio State's going to destroy Wisconsin. 41-20, Ohio State wins. Could be worse than that. I could see them winning this game by 40 points. Wisconsin's a joke. They shouldn't be ranked in the top 10. They're not a top 10 team. I'm taking Ohio State by a lot. They're going to roll them. Ohio State -16. Over-under here is 57. I'm going over. I think Ohio State could put up 57 by themselves. That's how much I think they're going to win this game by. That was 20, by the way. That's generous. Wisconsin may not put up 20. They suck. They should not be ranked inside the top 10. They're the most overrated football team. Them and Penn State, in my opinion. I just don't believe in them. And to be honest, obviously, like I said, Michigan, I think, would beat those two on a neutral site. Michigan's overrated as well. The middle of the Big Ten's questionable to me. Obviously, Ohio State's elite. But the rest of the conference, I don't know. Because you don't really have any great... Name me a great quarterback in the Big Ten other than Justin Fields. Oh, wait, you can't do it. So I'm going to take Ohio State, like I said, to blow Wisconsin out. I'm taking Ohio State -16 and the over 57. Next up, Virginia versus Clemson. The only way this game's close is if Trevor Lawrence plays like he did at the beginning of the season, turning the ball over. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Clemson's going to roll in this game 45-21. I'm being generous here. I could see Virginia scoring less than 21 points, and I could see Clemson covering this 28.5 point spread, which that's what it is. But I'm going to take Virginia plus 28.5, and I'm going the over of 57.5. I think Virginia and Bryce Perkins will be able to stay close for most of the game, and then Clemson will probably turn it on late third, early fourth quarter, score 2 or 3 touchdowns without being answered back from Virginia. And I think they roll eventually 45-21. Clemson's got too much talent. And I said for the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season, I thought LSU and Ohio State were the best 2 teams in the country, and that's who'd be in the college football championship game. I think Clemson wins the national championship. I'm saying it right now. I think Clemson has just as good of athletes as both those teams, and I think they have a better defense than both those teams. I think Clemson's defense is elite. Ohio State fans will say whatever you want. Ohio State's got a great defense, don't get me wrong. But I think Clemson is the most balanced team that's going to be in the college football playoff. I think they win the national championship. That'll be 2 and 3 years. I just feel like that's what's come to me. Like I said, I could be wrong. I said for the past 6 to 8 weeks that Ohio State and LSU were the 2 best teams. I've changed my mind. I think Clemson's going to win it. So obviously I am winning this game. I am winning the national championship, but we're not there yet. And we'll see what happens. I'm going to choose these next 2 games and they'll just be quick overviews, no gambling picks or anything like that. The Sun Belt Championship, Louisiana Lafayette versus Appalachian State. I'm going to take Appalachian State. They're a good football team. I can't really say anything else. I don't really know much about Louisiana Lafayette. I know a little bit about Appalachian State. Louisiana Lafayette doesn't run the triple option, so Appalachian State's going to beat them. That's really the only thing I can say about Appalachian State. When they play someone in their conference or someone in the realm of their skill level, the only people that beat them are the triple option team. I believe they lost to Georgia Southern earlier in the year, triple option team. So Louisiana Lafayette's not that, so Appalachian State's going to win by a touchdown or 2. Next up, Hawaii versus Boise State. This game is going to be the question of, can Cole McDonald throw 50 passes without an interception? Because that's what it's going to come down to. And I don't see that happening. He gets careless and turns the ball over quite a bit, especially through the air. And then Hawaii's defense isn't going to be able to stop Boise State. I think Boise State probably puts up between 31 to 45 points. I think Hawaii can do that. The problem is I think they turn the ball over too much to get to that point. So I think Boise State ends up winning that game. That'll do it for all my gambling picks of this conference championship weekend. I hope you enjoyed my videos throughout the season. Obviously, there will be more to come on different sports, but also I'm going to do bowl predictions down the road. I'm going to review my season, how I did, where I was right, where I was wrong, and we're going to talk about the college football playoff when it gets there. My prediction for right now, I'm not going to talk about the beginning. For right now, it's probably going to be Ohio State, LSU, maybe even flip-flop there since LSU will beat Georgia, and Georgia's the 5th best or 4th best team ranked in the country. Then I'm going to go Clemson, and I'm going to go Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma beats Baylor, and I think Utah is in a tough game with Oregon tonight, so I don't think they'll be able to get in because I think they have to blow out Oregon because that'd be, I think, their only ranked win of the season. The only other ranked team they played is USC, and they lost to them, so they have to blow out Oregon tonight. Now, if they blow out Oregon tonight, I think Utah makes it in, but I don't see that happening, so I'm going with Oklahoma at number 4. That'll do it for this video. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Thank you.